Part 106. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1051. It is said that the family of 4 in the store wanted to stun them in the middle of the night, and then kill them and snatch their horses' belongings. Unexpectedly, UER and the others noticed in advance and tied all 4 of the store's family. The county government was notified the next day. Guyunjiao's mood was very complicated for a while, thinking that her son and the others were almost in danger. She was afraid for a while. But thinking of their young age, the first time they went out alone, they were able to see through such a bad guy, and they also solved a big case by the way, and they couldn't stop being proud. Zhang Yuzi's mood was similar to hers. He now felt that Dad insisted on not sending people to follow them, and it was still too risky. The case alarmed the Holy Master, and the Holy General asked for the file to read it, and he also read it. Seeing the confession inside, it was because the 2 horses pierced their eyes that they were motivated to kill. Zhang Yuzi felt regretful. Lin Chuo sent 2 horses over, originally to make up for Qi. He and the grandfather of the country were a little worried that 2 children would be envied by people riding such a precious horse. After all, the entire Great Chu, that is, the holy sage, only had a horse with sweat and blood, and many people could not ask for it. But thinking about it was Lin Chuo's heart as a father. Seeing that the 2 children liked these 2 horses so much, I gave them to them. Who knew that the 2 children ran away from home this time and rode their horses away? With just these 2 horses, you can imagine how many coveted eyes will be drawn along the way. If it was said that Zhang Yuzi hadn't considered this issue before, and thought that they would have nothing to do along the way, but now the more I think about it, the more worried I feel. This is 2 children holding gold in the busy city. Guyunjiao also thought about it, and suddenly raised her head from his arms. How good is this? Those 2 horses are too eye-catching. Who knows if there are people who are crazy and want to snatch them? They don't necessarily have such good luck every time. What if there are many people on the other side? Zhang Yuzi pondered for a while, and said slowly, since Yu'er and Qi almost suffered a loss because of Ma'er, with their cleverness, they should be able to deal with it, and they won't be so ostentatious. Also, the 2 of them have good skills now, and they are considered second-rate masters in the arena. You can rest assured that ordinary people are not their opponents. Guyunjiao frowned. You will only reassure me. No, you still have to send experts to keep up with them. Zhang Yuzi thought about it for a while, and had no choice but to say, then let me send a few people over. However, it will take a few days to catch up with them. Guyunjiao said again, if I knew about this earlier, it would be better to tell Qi the truth. He rushes to the southern border full of hope now, and when he gets there, he finds that his father is not there. How disappointed the child must be. Guyunjiao was about to cry thinking about it. Zhang Yuyi didn't know what to do at the moment. What should I do? Brother Lin's affairs are confidential and cannot be told to the children. Guyunjiao looked out the window silently, and didn't want to talk to Zhang Yuzi at all. She was angry not only with Zhang Yuzi, but also with herself. If she knew that today, she should choose to tell the truth to Qi. She believes that the child is so old and knows the importance, and the secrets that should be kept will be kept. Qi is galloping on the official road at the moment. The dark horse under Yu'er's crotch has not been bathed and brushed for several days, and its fur has lost the luster of black satin. The light golden horse's fur under Qi's crotch was also much duller. When they came out from Juan County Government Office that day, the 2 discussed whether to buy some dyes to dye the pale golden horse's coat, but after thinking about it, that's fine. If it gets stained and cannot be washed off, the good sweat and blood will be ruined. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1052. The 2 had no choice but to drape a piece of cloth on the horse's back. It was ugly, but the horse wasn't so eye-catching. At noon that day, a few people hit a tip in a small town. There are no rules outside, and several people all gather around the table to eat. They sat at a table facing the street, the horses were tied at the door of the store, and everyone looked at the horses from time to time. While he was eating, a shirtless beggar in only a pair of tattered trousers crawled along the street. The beggar quickly saw the table of UER and the others, and shouted inwardly, "Young masters, do well, let's pass. Now it's November, the wind is piercing, UER sees that this person is naked on such a cold day, and he doesn't even have a warm clothes. For a time, he just feels that he is extremely pitiful, and his heart is full of compassion, and he touched the purse and found a silver ingot of 10 taels, which he threw accurately into the wooden bowl in front of the beggar with a thud. Xiao Er, who came to serve the food next to him, looked at the silver ingot in the wooden bowl and was stunned. It was the first time he had seen someone give 10 taels of silver to a beggar, so this little boy might be a little stupid. It was the first time that the beggar had met such a kind person, and he screamed to the sky to express his excitement. He picked up the silver and hid it under him, knocking his head on the ground. "Young master is a good man, a great man." UER said softly, "Take it and buy a padded jacket to put it on. Don't get cold in such a cold day." The beggar kowtowed a few more times, and then slowly crawled away shouting in a tone that no one could understand. Xiao Er stood beside him and waited for the beggar to crawl away, and then he couldn't help but say, "This is the first time I have seen a generous person like Xiao Gongzi. The beggar seems to have made a fortune today." UER said, "He's so pitiful. In such a cold day, he doesn't even have a single piece of clothes. With that little money, he can buy a padded jacket to wear." Xiao Er chuckled, "Young master is really young, this is the first time to go out, right?" UER felt that there was something in Xiao Er's words. "What?" Xiao Er said, "Think about it, young master, why does he have pants to wear but no clothes to wear? Even if he is poor, picking up a few rags in the mass grave is better than being naked." UER still didn't understand, why. Xiao Er smiled, "Our shopkeeper saw him begging naked on the street last year, and he felt pity for him, so we found him an old coat from home that he didn't wear." This beggar also banged his head with a bang, and looked very grateful. As a result, the next day, the beggar came out naked again. At that time, it was colder than it is now. The shopkeeper asked him why he didn't wear the padded jacket given to him, and the beggar hesitated. Finally, the shopkeeper himself understood that the beggar did not wear it on purpose, so that people could sympathize with him. "By the way, there's nothing wrong with his legs. I once saw him in the alley, got up and ran away." UER was speechless for a while. He didn't feel bad for Yinzi, he felt that his heart was being trampled on. Cheer patted his shoulder amusingly, "No wonder I always hear those uncles say that the rivers and lakes are sinister. We've only been out for a few days, what happened to us? It seems that we have to be more cautious in the future." You nodded slowly. After a few people finished eating, they got on their horses and walked slowly forward. After walking for a while, the group saw the beggar crawling on the ground again, begging not far ahead. Gao Shan said, "Young master, I'll beat him up and get the money back." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jin Kui. Chapter 1053. UER looked at the man from a distance and slowly shook his head, "Forget it. In order to ask for more money, he is willing to endure the bitterness of the cold wind, which is also unbearable for ordinary people." He paused, "Those 10 taels of silver should be taken as a lesson." He clamped the horse's belly, and the horse quickly ran past the beggar. The rest of the horses galloped away one by one. The group walked for about 10 days and entered the southern border area. Chi was also excited. He made inquiries with Grandpa Guo and Zhang Yuzi several times, all of which said that his father had been transferred to a place called Yutang in the southern border. Of course, this place wasn't invented by Grandpa Guo and Zhang Yuzi. This place was written on the order issued by the Ministry of Personnel to Lin Chuo. That night, they were resting in an inn. Chi'er took out the map and looked at it, and happily said to Uer, "It's only more than 50 miles away from Yutang, so hurry up tomorrow and be there before evening. The mountain road is not easy to walk, and you can't walk very far in a day." Uer was also very happy, have an early rest tonight and get up at 90 tomorrow. The two were talking when Ma Fei knocked on the door. "Young master, someone asked to see him, saying that it was sent by General Wu." Uer and Chi'er looked at each other and said in unison, "Please come in." Not long after, Ma Fei came in with a man in his 30s. The man cupped his hands and said, "The two young masters, under the order of General Wu, bring a message to the two of them. General Lin is not in Yutang, and the two sons please return to Xiangcheng as soon as possible." Chi'er and Uer couldn't believe what they heard. "What?" The man continued, "General Wu received the letter from Lord Xiaofu, and originally planned to come to meet the two young masters in person, but the recent Sakubang rebellion, the general personally led troops to suppress it." Chi'er said eagerly, "Is my father there too?" The man shook his head. "No, as far as I know, General Lin is indeed not in the southern border." Chi'er's eyes turned red. "I don't believe it. Is it because my father is afraid that the rebellion is not safe, so he doesn't want us to go there?" The man smiled bitterly. "Young master, that's not true, there is only General Wu on the side of Sagupang, and there really is no General Lin." Chi'er's eyes gradually turned red, her fists were clenched, and she ran all the way. Seeing that she was about to reach her destination, suddenly someone appeared and said that her father was not here. "How would you let him accept it?" Uer saw that Chi'er was a little out of control for a while, and hurriedly grabbed him. "Brother, otherwise, we might as well go to Yutang tomorrow as usual, and ask the guards over there for clear information first. If Uncle Lin really wants to quell the rebellion, let's make another plan." Chi'er heard this, nodded and calmed down. The man smiled bitterly. "You two young masters, please don't go to Yutang." Uer frowned. "Why?" The man said, "I came here on purpose, just to tell you, because there is a band of bandits entrenched in Yutang, I'm afraid I can't get through." Uer was even more puzzled, since there are bandits. Why didn't General Wu send someone to destroy them? The man smiled bitterly. "Young master, General Wu cannot deploy his own troops without the order above." The man sighed. "Let's put it this way, it's not that easy to get the army to go over to suppress the bandits. First of all, Yutang has to report to the top, and the top can only move if it moves. Even if the above agrees to suppress the bandits, it is not a one-time thing to suppress the bandits, that is, only 10,000 or 20,000 troops are dispatched, and the local Yutang is responsible for the food and grass. Yutang is already poor, how can you afford it? The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth." Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1054. The man said again, "These bandits, General Wu also led people to suppress them the year before, and almost half of them were killed at that time, but the rest hid in the mountains. The terrain in the mountains was complicated, and the army could not pursue them at all. General Wu led people to guard one. For many months, some bandits were caught sporadically. Later, Yutang's his who came and begged him to leave, because Yutang could not afford the food and grass for tens of thousands of soldiers. Since this time, his who has never mentioned bandit suppression again." Chi'er asked inexplicably, "The soldiers all have approved food, which is allocated by the imperial court. Why do they have to pay extra from the local government?" The man smiled. "Young master, suppressing bandits is not an easy task, but it will cost people's lives to fill it up. Our army is not originally to suppress bandits, but to guard the border. Bandit suppression is an extra thing. If there is no benefit at all, then who is willing to sacrifice their lives? General Wu is willing, but the soldiers and officers below will not move without any benefit. It's just a little grain, what do you say? Cheer and Uer were speechless for a while. In their hearts, the soldiers of Dechu should protect their families and the country, so how can they still ask for benefits? But this uncle seems to be right. Bandit troubles are generally solved locally by themselves. After all, each state has 2,000 garrison troops to maintain local law and order. The man said again. After this group of bandits withdrew from General Wu, they gathered again. Now they are more and more powerful, and there are thousands of people. There are old and weak women and children, and they are still farming in the mountains. Uer thought about it and said, if that's the case, why don't you report it to the imperial court? The imperial court can allocate a sum of money specifically to suppress the bandits. The man is really helpless. These two young masters have so many problems. Fortunately, I met a man who understands him, otherwise it would be unclear. First, the local prefect is definitely reluctant to report it. There is a group of gangsters under the rule, and they can't be eliminated for a long time. If the prefect reports it, it can only provoke the anger of the sage, and the prefect has no benefit at all. Secondly, it is not so easy for the imperial court to send troops to suppress the bandits. The army comes over and the bandits hide in the mountains. They are familiar with the terrain in the mountains. The ghost knows where they are hiding. Can the imperial army afford them? The army may not be able to be wiped out even if it takes a year or two. What if it's wiped out? There will still be new people going up the mountain to be bandits. Cheer and Uer didn't know what to say. In short, along the way, they can only say that many things in the world are not as simple as they appear on the surface. A gangster, speaking from the mouth of this uncle, is simply an impossible task. The man cupped his hands and said, after saying so much, I also asked the two young masters not to go to Yutang. If the two sons don't want to go back to Xiangcheng, General Wu said that they can go to Luanzhou to find Guz his Hu. Uer had long planned to come to southern Xinjiang to see her grandparents and uncle, as well as her aunt and cousin whom she had never met before. But that was all after helping my brother find Uncle Lin. What to do now? Are you not going to Yutang? Uer knew that Brother Qi would not be reconciled if he didn't go to Yutang. After the man finished saying what he wanted to say, he said goodbye and left. Uer looked at Cheer. Brother, what are you going to do? Cheer sat at the table, looked at the oil lamp on the table, and said quietly after a long while, I'm all here, I'm not reconciled if I don't visit Yutang with my own eyes. Uer nodded, then go. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1055. Cheer glanced at him, I'm going alone, you can either wait for me here, or you can go to Luanzhou by yourself. Uer shook her head, wherever I go, I want to be with my brother. Cheer frowned, no, you can't go. He knew very well that Uncle Zhang and Aunt Gu were such an only son, and he brought them out. If something happened, he couldn't forgive himself. Uer said, then let's go to Luanzhou together. Cheer also planned to go to Luanzhou, but he wanted to go after finding his father. Seeing that he couldn't make any sense with Uer, Cheer stopped arguing with him, just said, forget it, I'll ask you about it tomorrow, and then go to sleep first. Uer didn't go out either, we sleep in the same room tonight. He was afraid that Cheer would run away without telling him. Cheer sighed helplessly and had to acquiesce. In the morning, when the genius was bright, Cheer woke up. As soon as he moved, Uer woke up, and the two got up and washed silently. After washing up, go to the hotel lobby to have breakfast together. Uer didn't make a sound, and when the meal was over, Cheer called Xiaoer over and asked, I plan to go to Yutang now. I heard that there are bandits over there, can I go? Xiaoer smiled a little awkwardly, How can I say it? If we people pass by, we will pay the toll fee and it will be fine. But several young masters are well dressed and riding horses. I don't know what will happen next. Cheer asked carefully, pay the toll? Wouldn't the past merchants not be robbed if they paid the toll? Xiao spread his hands helplessly, guest officer, I'm not a bandit either, how do I know? Yu winked at Gao Shan. Gao Shan stuffed a small piece of broken silver in the little second hand, and the little second's attitude suddenly became warm. However, we have been fighting with the caravan here, and we are all escorted by people from the Fu Wei escort. Of? Yu asked, they won't rob the Fu Wei escort. Xiao smiled, young master is right. He lowered his voice, it is said that the chief dart head of Fu Wei escort has a little friendship with the big boss on Niudishan, and he will give Niudishan a sum of money every year, so the darts escorted by Fu Wei escort usually don't move. Cheer breathed a sigh of relief, where is the Fu Wei escort? Xiao told them that there is a Fu Wei escort bureau in the county town dozens of miles away from here. Cheer and Yu discussed it, and to be cautious, they would rather delay a day and go to the guard office to hire a few guards. Several people immediately set off to the county seat. When we arrived at the county seat, it was still noon. A few people went to the escort office to explain their intentions. The escort said carelessly, no problem, I'll just send my apprentices to come with you. Cheer was not at ease, alone. The escort said, one person is enough. As long as the banner of our Fu Wei escort is thrown out, Niudishan will not move. Cheer and Yu looked at each other, and combined with Xiao words, they felt that there was nothing wrong with the escort's words. The price was quickly negotiated, and the apprentice of the escort took out a small flag and let them put it on the bridle of the horse. After a simple lunch, we set off. At noon the next day, the accompanying escort pointed to the continuous mountain, this is all within the scope of Niudu Mountain. There will be a canyon in a while, and it looks like only one car can pass through. Niudishan has ambushed people at both ends of the canyon all the year round. However, don't worry, they won't move when they see the flag of our escort. Cheer and Yu looked at each other and walked towards the distant canyon with some caution. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jin Kui. Chapter 1056. The road at the entrance to the canyon is still wide, and after walking half a mile, it is only a little wider than a carriage. The horse walks very slowly, and the mountain road is curved. If it walks fast, it will inevitably hang on the rocks and branches on both sides. Just as the entire horse team entered the canyon, a whistle suddenly sounded in the mountains. Cheer and Yu froze in their hearts, knowing that it must be bandits communicating information. At this time, they followed their escort to raise their voices and said, all the heroes of Niudishan, this is the dart received by the Fu Wei escort, and please raise your hands. At this time, a voice came from the mountain, you guys can go, I have taken a fancy to those two horses, stay here. Cheer and Yu looked at each other and said nothing. The escort smiled and said, which hero is here? I am the escort of the escort, and my master is. It doesn't matter who your master is, don't you understand people's words, horses stay, people leave. The voice from the mountain didn't know where it came from, and there was a faint echo in this canyon. Chia raised her voice at this time and said, it's impossible for Ma to stay. I still have some money here. Please invite all the heroes to drink tea. Saying that, Chia gave Ma Fei a wink. Ma Fei took out a money bag from his body, threw it to the side of the mountain, and hung it on a branch. Several people then rode forward. The voice rang again, now, is it difficult for me, the second head of Niudishan, to speak? I said the horses stay, you are deaf. The escort was shocked. Why don't the two young masters leave the horse behind? The second master is said to have a bad temper. Cheer said coldly, it's impossible for the horse to stay, let's go. He kicked off the horse's stomach lightly, and the BMW under his crotch accelerated. At this moment, the whistle sounded one after another, as if sending a signal. The escort's face changed greatly. No, this is calling someone. Cheer shouted, come on. The escort was about to cry. This canyon is several miles long, how can it be so easy to pass? At this moment, Ewer and Cheer could only hear noises everywhere on both sides of the mountain, and the two of them didn't care, they just rode their horses forward. It's just that the road is narrow, so it's hard to go fast at all. Seeing that the road ahead seemed to be getting wider and wider, the canyon should be almost over, Mafe, who was walking at the front, was overjoyed, and was about to call everyone to speed up when he saw a log with a thick water tank lying across the road ahead. Mafe hurriedly said, rolling wood blocks the road ahead. Everyone hurriedly reined in the reins, and the team stopped for a while. Uer looked at the mountains on both sides. I don't know how many bandits were ambushed in the mountains. At this moment, they can't go forward, they can't go back. He remembered an idiom, catching turtles in a urn. Everyone got off the horse without any orders, and all gathered around Cheer and Uer. Only the escort looked around in horror. Soon, as if the wind was blowing, the trees and weeds on the mountain were moving, and in an instant, countless heads came out. Someone laughed and said, oh, these offspring are quite handsome, I think, why don't they all go up the mountain? At this time, Uer suddenly said loudly, everyone, I have a word. Someone laughed, what do you want to say, little son? Do you want us to spare your life? Uer said seriously, I can't give you these two horses. If you really want to take these two horses, it will bring disaster to Nyautishan. The people on the mountain were not in a hurry at the moment, and listened patiently, because these people obviously had nowhere to go. The voice of the second head of the family rang again, why? The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1057. The second master's voice was joking, is this horse amazing, or a few of them? Uer said seriously, it's the horse that's amazing. Since you want these two horses, you must also see a little way. The second master was originally standing behind a tree, but then he simply walked out and looked down at several people in the canyon. This horse has a small head, a high skeleton, and looks handsome, but in the end it's just two horses, is there any other way? The reason why Uer made a sound was to see that some of these bandits were holding bows and arrows. He was worried that they would injure the horse with their hands. He said solemnly, these two horses are not ordinary horses, they are sweaty horses. There are only 3 horses in the entire Great Chu, which are invaluable. The bandits all over the mountain were quiet for a while, and then they started chatting. The second master said to a thin middle-aged man next to him, Master Ming, do you think this is true or false? Master Ming looked at the 2 horses carefully, and then looked at Cheer and Uer carefully. Although the 2 teenagers are young, their bearing is already extraordinary. His eyes suddenly fell on Uer's waist, and his pupils shrank. Second master, they are people of the court. They all have waist cards on their waists. The second master frowned. They could be bandits and rob rich merchants and landlords, but it is best not to fight against the imperial court, otherwise they will anger the imperial court and the army will come, and they will have nothing to do. The year before last year, General Wu's suppression of bandits greatly damaged Nyautishan's vitality and lost half of his manpower. Master Ming narrowed his eyes, as for whether this horse is a sweaty horse, it's better to ask Lao Fang to come over. He used to be a horse trader in the north, so he must recognize it. The second master immediately ordered someone to call Lao Fang. He raised his voice, everyone listen, don't rush to do it, I have to see if this kid is talking big. He then asked Master Ming in a low voice, if it's really a sweaty BMW. How much is it worth? Master Ming stroked his beard, you can't buy gold for 10,000 taels. If you can get a sweaty BMW and dare to ride it, the second master thinks, these two boys are only afraid of their unusual identities. The second master narrowed his eyes, so what? Who knows if you kill it and bury it? Master Ming shook his head, if these two people are really the children of everyone who came out to experience, then there must be experts who are secretly protecting them. If we kill them, Niaudition will be destroyed in an instant, as this kid said. At this time, UER and Cheer simply lifted the cloth on the horse's back. Although the two BMWs hadn't bathed and brushed their hair for a while, their coats were much duller, but their well-proportioned skeletons and strong bodies instantly compared the other horses. The second master craned his neck and looked at it, Mummy, I'm afraid it's really a sweaty BMW. Then what should I do, so few little sheep, are they just letting go? Master Ming's eyes fell on UER, it's impossible to let go, so many brothers are watching, we're willing to let it go, but the brothers won't let it go. Just as he was talking, a middle-aged man came over, second master, are you looking for me? The second master pointed to the two horses in the canyon, look, is that a sweaty horse? Lao Fang's eyes widened immediately, although the distance was far, but the size of the horse, as well as the unique coat color of the light golden horse, made him sure at once. He said excitedly, blood and sweat. It's really a bloody BMW, I've seen it before when I went to the western regions. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1058. The second master's eyes glowed green, how much are these two horses worth? Lao Fang couldn't take his eyes off the two horses, how much is it worth? Those two horses will be willing to buy even if they ask for tens of thousands of taels of gold. The second master and Master Ming glanced at each other, the second master licked his lips, and Master Ming was short of breath. UER and Cheer have been looking at the direction of the second master, knowing that he is the one who can call the shots. Although I couldn't hear what they said, I knew from the changes in their expressions that they should have recognized the value of horses. In this case, they should not use force at will and hurt the horse. UER threw up her hands, everyone, and the head of the family should all understand, this is really a sweaty BMW. If these two horses are really left to you, and the news spreads, I'm afraid the entire Niaudition mountain will not be peaceful. Masters in the rivers and lakes, the imperial court is afraid that they will be moved by the wind. The second master also understands this reason, but now he is difficult to ride a tiger. According to Master Ming, the identities of these two boys are not simple and they cannot be killed. This horse is precious, but it can't be grabbed. If you grab it, you will cause trouble. But now it's not enough to let them go. The brothers in mansion don't care so much. It's impossible for these people to leave casually. Dilemma. At this time, Cheer took out his purse and held it up high, there are 200 taels of silver in it, and I hope you will raise your hand and let us go. Someone on the mountain shouted, if you say let it go, let it go. We have so many brothers, 200 taels of silver are not enough to stick between our teeth. Someone responded, yeah, why do you talk so much nonsense with them, kill them, and the silver and BMW will be ours. Cheer and UER looked at each other, and UER said, I said, these two horses will only cause trouble for Niaudition. We won't leave the horse anyway. He suddenly said coldly, if you really want to fight, I have a proposal. The second master was having a headache, so he quickly answered, you say it? It's better to take a gamble. If we win, let us go. If we lose, we don't have much money on hand now. After we leave, I'll have someone send 10,000 taels of silver, which is to redeem our horse. I don't know how the second master is going. As soon as UER finished speaking, someone shouted, "Second master, stop talking nonsense with them, kill them for a good share of money." Someone shouted, "Yeah, you don't believe me if you say that you will send money in the future." The second master scolded, "Is it you or I? Mother, everyone only knows how to fight and kill, but they don't have any brains at all. Don't make a sound, listen to me." The second master pondered for a moment. "Yes, 10,000 taels of road money, if I don't allow it, then it's not justified." He narrowed his eyes, "However, it's up to you how you hit me." UER suddenly surrendered to the second master. "Boy is 13 this year, my brother is 15 this year." After saying this, UER kept silent. The second master was stunned for a moment, and then he was about to laugh angrily. This was deliberately stating their age, so that he would be embarrassed to go too far. The second master secretly scolded this kid for being too smart, and thought for a moment, "Well, since you are young, it is not easy for me to bully you. You two, we have 6 people here. 2 at a time, 3 rounds, if you guys can beat everyone down, then my audition skills are not as good as others, so what if I let you go?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1059. UER and Chi'er looked at each other and said in unison, "Okay." The second master laughed, "This is really a newborn calf who is not afraid of tigers." He sent 2 people up at a time, and it was easy to find out the depth of these 2 boys. If the 2 boys were lucky enough to win in the first 2 rounds, that would be fine, he and the big boss would go in person at the end. If you don't believe it, you can't take care of these 2 hairy boys. BMW doesn't dare to ask for it, he wants to settle for 10,000 taels of silver. UER suddenly raised her anger and shouted, "The boy has another request. The sword has no eyes. If it hurts the horse, it will be bad. Please don't use weapons, how about fighting with fists and feet?" Hearing what UER said, the second master laughed, "Sure, I can't bear to hurt the BMW. Let's fight." UER said again, "How does it count as a loss? We still have important things to do. If we can't tell the difference between winning and losing for a few days and nights, it will be a waste of time." The second boss frowned, "This kid has a lot of things to do." He said impatiently, "What if you fall to the ground and lose?" UER nodded, "Okay, it's a deal." Chi'er and UER looked at each other at this moment, and they both walked back for a while, away from the horse. UER whispered, "Brother, this is a will battle, we'd better make a quick decision, the further back we go, the more we can't bear it." Chess nodded. The second master looked around and pointed at the opposite side, "Xiaozhou, Zhou, you 2 will come in the first round." Xiaozhou and Zuzi are also relatively outstanding young people in the cottage. They have practiced martial arts with the master for a year, and they have made rapid progress. The key is that these 2 boys are strong. 2 young men descended from the opposite mountain into the canyon. Chi'er and UER were standing back to back, and both of them had already set up their positions. Both Xiaozhou and Zhuazi are tall and strong, and Zhuazi's fist is too bigger than UER's fist. UER saw Zuzi's fist swiping over, she ducked with a short body, and then swept her legs and feet to attack his lower plate. Chi'er is about the same height as Xiaozhou, but he looks much thinner than Xiaozhou. Xiaozhou punched, his head swayed extremely quickly dodged, and then began to attack Xiaozhou's next plate. Both Chi'er and UER could see that although these 2 had strength, they lack skills, especially the instability in the lower game. Obviously, they didn't spend much time practicing martial arts. Moreover, if you want them to fall to the ground, it is of course the fastest to attack the plate. UER and Chi usually practice martial arts under the guidance of famous teachers. Grandpa Guo also personally instructs them sometimes. Their skill and reaction speed can be said to be top-notch, but they are still young, and their strength and internal strength are not enough. Even so, the two of them brought Xiaozhou and Zhu Ziyi down when they met each other. The second master frowned when he saw it was too fast, and he hadn't even seen the martial arts skills of these two boys. The second master first ordered someone to call the eldest master, and then ordered two people to come out. These two people are the most powerful experts in the cottage, except for a few masters. In order to make a quick decision, Yuer and Chi used ruthless moves. The two bandits took their lives, and the two dodged left and right. One of them was inattentive and was brought down by Chi. Kicked the man's kneecap, and the man's leg went weak and fell to the ground. Chi and Uer panted back to back. The bandits all over the mountain fell silent for a while, and if the people on their side won at this time, there would definitely be cheers from all over the mountain. However, several of them who were recognized to be good in strength lost to the two teenagers, which was a bit embarrassing. The Prime Minister seduced me to give birth. Author, Jinkui. Chapter 1060. The second master was also a little restless. Although he had planned for a long time, it was really impossible for him and the boss to go there in person, but if they were to go, it would not be glorious to win. After all, these are still two children. If you lose in the future, these brothers in Nyaudition are afraid that they will not be able to hold back. Bandits are few good friends. Originally, he was not a master of the rivers and lakes. He was just a teenager from an ordinary family. Because of a conflict with people, he killed people because of a disagreement, and then he ran out of trouble and became a bandit. He was able to be the second in command because he had read books when he was a child, had some brains, and was cruel enough. He only started to practice martial arts when he went to Nyaudition Mountain. He knew that in a place like Nyaudition Mountain, if you want to stand out, you must have brains, ruthlessness, and strength. Master Ming, who was next to the second master, looked at the mountain road at this time, but the eldest master was nowhere to be seen. Master Ming whispered, "What should I do?" "Just wait like this." The second master said angrily, "What else can we do if we don't wait?" Chi and Uer saw that no one came down, so they didn't rush them, and simply sat on the ground to recover their strength. The face of the second master became more and more gloomy. It was originally a will battle, but the chain fell in the middle. When the two teenagers recovered, they would have no advantage. At this time, someone suddenly said, "Second master, why is no one here? No one is coming to me." The corner of the second master's mouth twitched. Just as he was about to say something, someone else said, "Count me in." "Mother, I don't believe it anymore, I can't even beat two children." At this moment, the second boss sent to find the person from the big boss and ran back, panting. The boss said, "This kind of thing can be handled by the second boss, he doesn't care." The second boss hesitated for a while. The big boss didn't come, and he didn't dare to end the game in person. After thinking about it, he said to the two people who volunteered, "Okay, you two go up and fight. Be serious, it's about 10,000 taels of silver, it's mainly about Nyaudition's face." The two quickly came down from the mountain. Uer and Chi got up, patted the soil on their bodies, put on a stance, and stood ready. Some bandits in the mountains screamed, some whistled, and some applauded, cheering them on. The two rushed over in a fit of rage. In the eyes of Chi and Uer, their whole bodies were full of flaws, and only one of them met each other. One of them took a punch from Chi, took a few steps back, followed by another punch from Chi, and the man fell directly to the ground. The other was directly kicked away by Uer. The bandits on the mountain suddenly quieted down. Chi and Uer handed over, "Concession. Fight and fight, we can go now." The second master and Master Ming looked at each other and didn't say anything. The 4 guards went to carry the log. Gun Mu had just moved to the side, and Uer was about to get on the horse when someone on the mountain suddenly shouted, "Damn, there's no such thing, we are bandits, what rules and credit are bandits talking about, we just want to kill people and steal money." For a while, the whole mountain became restless, but the second master didn't speak, and no one rushed down. Cheer and Uer both put their hands on the hilt of the knife. If they really can't leave today, they can only kill them happily. At this moment, a long howl suddenly sounded in the forest. The sound was so loud that it suppressed the restless voice of the whole mountain. The second master frowned. "Who is it? This howling sound is very powerful, even the great masters do not have such power." Somewhere in the mountain came a full-fledged voice, "There is a way for thieves, but what the bandits of Nyautishan have said should not be counted. If it spreads out, do the heads of Nyautishan still have the face to stand on the rivers and lakes?"